be up and going. We're 2 minutes early. So.
But I don't have a watch live.
Is that our channel?
They're live now.
Yep, click on it. Does it tell us how many people are in there? Yep, nobody's in there yet.
Alright, talk.
I'm talking. Can you hear me now? It's got a 10-second delay.
We gotta turn that fan on.
Look,
Oh.
who's in there?
I will message you on Facebook.
Who's that?
West Virginia Outdoors Man.
Oh, that was from the last time I bet.
You think?
Yeah.
I will message you on Facebook.
Hey, West Virginia, are you here now?
Yes. Unless that's me.
Hey, West Virginia, are you here now? T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Okay, I guess we need to start looking there instead of here.
We'll give everybody a few minutes to get in.
Look at your eyes.
We'll give everybody a few minutes to show up.
Look at your eyes. Oh, only one person. I guess that's me.
That's you. See, it says live streaming now, right?
Live streaming soon.
I want to close out and see if that one brings you to this one. It should. But there you are. Still with the camera open.
I'm gonna punch you on your...
You're not gonna punch me. You love me. And there we are. What is that hum in the background? Is that fan? Is it the AC? That's not good.
I told you. Get in.
Never mind. Guess who's back? Back again. Dora's back. Tell a friend. Alright, if you're here now, go ahead and let us know that you're here. And so that way we'll get things rolling. Go ahead and in the chat box, go ahead and put hello.
We got one. Southwind Technical Academy.
Hey, Southwind. We're going to try to give everybody a few minutes to get in, get logged in before we get rolling here. So how was your day? That good, huh?
It was Friday at work. It was great.
It's got to be great for a Friday.
I don't know. We were kind of lucky. It was kind of slow.
Looks like we're going to get a storm here in a little bit.
Maybe.
Wind's picking up. We need the rain. We need the rain.
You're not lying.
I don't think anybody's going to come watch us.
That's okay. It'll be all right.
I know. But I had these hopes and dreams that like 801 there'd be like 80,000. So it looks like we got somebody watching. It popped up too.
Two more.
Well, you're one crazy.
I don't know. Well,
Oh.
that's why I said two more. Because that says three. One plus two is three.
All I see is a 2. So if you're here, let us know you're here. Say hey.
Oh. You said the magic storm word. Wish we had one here in Kansas. It's hotter than a well digger's behind here. That's it's close to us. He said the heat index is 109.
Wait, time out. A well digger's behind?
Yep.
That's kind of
That'd
cold.
be kind of cold.
You got to kind of reverse that one there.
Yeah.
So
well,
Kentucky, huh?
No, Kansas.
Kansas.
Come on, Kansas.
Sorry, Toto.
Silly. Yeah, it does look like we're going to get a storm. We haven't had any rain either. A lot of our
pond is way down.
way down.
Way down.
Usually it's threatening to come up onto the grass in the backyard. But
The fish are running around with a snorkel with a water bottle on top.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was wondering that. I'm sorry. I apologize.
What did you do?
I always call people he at first, and I think it's just habit. But she. Genesis Restoration said, getting close to 80,000, just a few more. So we have 6 people. Yay!
Oh, you heard that, huh? You heard that.
We're just trying to kind of get going. Sandra says we're having a bad storm here. Flood warning and hail. Wow.
Where are you at?
Where exactly are you, Sandra? What part of the country, world?
Sandra D.
Southwind Technical Academy. Her name's April, but Southwind is the name of their homeschool. Well, we can kind of relate to that because our homeschool is Big Bear Academy, so we kind of do the same thing.
Kind of a theme we have going on here.
Yeah. Sandra's in Nebraska. Wonder what kind of growing season you have in Nebraska. It's probably pretty long, I would imagine. Don't they grow corn and all that good stuff in Nebraska? Yeah? No? What? Why are you looking at me like that? I promise I have a college education.
Today we're going to talk about geography.
Okay, so April said Sandra, she's bringing her boat up. They moved down there from the Hastings area, so obviously they kind of... I do know that Nebraska and Kansas are close to each other, and the only reason I know that is because of that great book that we used to read to our kids. The Unscrambled States of America. That is the best book ever. Oh my goodness. Sandra said their last frost date's May 21st. You know, this year, for us, it was kind of late too. We had a lot of late cold weather. Don't look at me like that. You know we did. It was late. It wasn't May 21st late, but it was still kind of late. Usually we wait until the Friday. Not Black Friday. Good
we
Friday.
wait to plant on Black Friday.
Good Friday. We usually wait till Good Friday to start putting plants in the ground. But this year, we actually waited a little bit longer because it was still cold. We were still getting some pretty cold weather. Yeah.
Usually we have our potatoes and stuff in by middle of March, and this year it was almost the end of April.
Well, the part of that, though, was we were getting our garden ready this year because where we live, the ground is absolutely horrible. And
why?
So, why? Because we live in the granite capital of the world.
It's just granite. Just ching.
We moved up here with a great opportunity, and we have 21 acres. We started out.
You're starting out on our notes already that we have, and we're still giving people time to get in. We agreed.
Well,
it's only 8:07. We said 8:10.
Look, okay, Yarsky, 15 minutes. 15-minute mark, then we're going to get started. Okay. So we got like 8 more minutes to go.
8 more minutes of rambling.
But anyway, back to our garden. Our garden was what?
Nothing.
No, all I was gonna say is this: I
just went like this.
Is there something the ground that we have is not conducive for having just a regular garden.
So now you gotta use big words because you feel stupid because you didn't know where Nebraska was.
You're not funny. So, anyway, the ground is not good for growing. It's not a good situation for growing. So, and we learned that very quickly when we moved here. We were all excited because we moved into a property. Oh, look! Look who's here.
Who? Is it Brad?
Wanda. No.
Oh,
Wanda's
hi, Deep
here.
South.
They must be done doing their chores for the day.
Oh.
We're glad to see you guys made it to come check us out.
Oh, my wife just made a funny.
I don't even know what it was that I said at this
It was funny.
But anyway, the ground that we have, not good for growing. We had to basically build from scratch.
We had to put 6 or 8 inches of compost and topsoil on our ground just to get it to where we could grow something because of all of the granite underneath.
Right.
Yeah,
one minute you could dig for days, and then you go 2 inches one way or the other, and you couldn't go anywhere.
Clink.
So.
Clink. Yeah.
But yeah, we the first year or two that we were here, it was just a nightmare. We tried doing raised beds, and they were okay.
They did okay. I mean, they did better than okay. They did.
Right, they did.
I mean,
that's right.
we got some veg out of it, but it was just. I mean, we even went the square foot companion garden route and tried that, but it just. I don't know. There wasn't enough variety that we could plant it in those couple of small of those raised beds that we could have to sustain us and the livestock. So
right.
I don't know.
Are you getting nervous?
No, I'm not getting nervous. I'm getting anxious.
Getting anxious.
Getting anxious. Just trying to let everybody come on in.
Yeah.
What's everybody saying in the chat box?
Well, Deep South is just talking to Southwind, saying, "Hey, how you doing?" And
I'm probably saying she didn't know where Nebraska was.
Yeah, probably. So we need to check out Southwind Technical Academy. They were saying they just watched her FFF video, so I'm going to have to check that out. Not sure what FFF is. I guess I'm going to have to look that up. Or maybe Deep South, maybe you can help me explain that. It says they had a lot of fun making the video, so I really got to check it out now.
Yep.
I got some homework to do this weekend, it looks like. I'm excited. There's so much good information on YouTube if you can just get through, you can just kind of get through some of the crazy stuff. Frugal family food collaboration. We definitely need to check that out. Why? Whose garden, Sandra? Are you talking about ours? She's asking, how is our garden doing? I'm assuming she's talking about
this
ours.
year we're doing really, really well. We're kind of happy, and we didn't even really get the whole thing planted. We basically, for the first year, we put our pigs on our garden spot, and we let them root it up, tear it up, and everything. Then the year after that, we had chickens and ducks and geese on it.
All over it.
All over it.
Mm-hmm.
Now this year, we went ahead and I ran the tiller over it.
Scratch it all up.
And then we just to bust it all back up. And then I brought in, we took 2 or 3 days riding around the pasture in a pickup truck, scooping up cow manure and donkey manure.
And the other thing you didn't mention is that when we first moved here, we had gotten a big, huge pile of wood chips.
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Well, but you have to kind of preface that because we did that long before you did all this other stuff.
I remember that part.
Whatever.
It's a sequence of events.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Put out all the cow manure and donkey manure and everything, and then we tilled it again.
Right.
Then I put those composted wood chips on top.
Which you wouldn't have known we had if we hadn't told you that before.
That makes you feel better.
I know, right?
And then we put a fresh layer of, this year we put a fresh layer of wood chips on it. They were coming around, hitting the power lines, getting ready for winter and summer storms and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And so we talked to the guys, talked to the supervisor and said, what do y'all do with those wood chips? You want them? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll take as many as you can give me. And they brought 8 or 10 loads.
Oh my gosh, I thought we were never going to get rid of those, but we had so much to cover.
We had enough that we were able to cover the entire garden, all of the raised beds, put a border in wood chips around the raised beds, put a strip down beside the house around the AC unit, then in front of the house, and then where our trash bin is, we mulched that area, and then we mirrored it over here on this side of the house. And we've got a huge pile
That
out
we're
in the
saving
back
up
by the
for
bees that we're going to let compost down.
compost.
That'll turn into compost for us.
Right.
So,
Right.
okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. That's given more than enough
Oh yeah,
time.
we've got
'Cause-
several people in
yeah.
here.
So,
Some of our faves.
some of our faves.
Oh, yeah.
Faves.
Yeah.
We have faves?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Some of them.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for coming by tonight. Hello everybody.
Hello.
This is our very first live stream,
I have to turn that off. It's too loud.
Big Bear Homestead. First thing we wanted to do is for you guys that are not subscribers and you guys are kind of new, because we were kind of going through all the groups that we're a part of on Facebook and telling everybody about tonight. I'm a veteran of the United States Marine Corps. My wife is a college graduate from the University of Arkansas.
Yeah. Go Razorbacks.
And we have been married going on 11 years this year.
Mm-hmm.
We've been homesteading about 8 of those 11 so far.
8, 9, somewhere around in there.
We
Yeah.
started with a 1/4 of an acre plot that grew to the opportunity to do a 5-acre plot.
Nope, we went to 2.5.
2.5. I'm sorry.
Then to 5.
How would I ever get along?
I don't know. You don't. You don't get along when I'm not here.
I'm never right unless you're
Never.
here. 2.5 acres, then 5 acres.
Right. Then
Then the 21 acres.
That's right.
And so that's where we're at our forever homestead now at 21 acres. We went from having started with quail,
Mm-hmm.
rabbits, chickens.
I thought the chickens came before the rabbits, but
No.
I'm wrong on
Our
this
son
one.
corrected me the
Oh,
other
okay.
day.
So we had quail, then rabbits, then chickens. In the
then-
meantime, we had a garden.
I had the garden.
Mm-hmm.
And then we brought pigs on when we moved up to the 2.5.
Mm-hmm.
And the cows.
And then the cow first.
Cow, yeah.
Yeah. Didn't want a cow.
Old Pouty McPout Pants.
Yeah.
That
was actually an interesting story.
Then we brought the dairy cow on.
Right.
Then we brought goats, and then you made us get rid of the goats.
We tried turkeys.
Well, we still got turkeys.
Right, but we tried turkeys.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, we did turkeys and pheasants. That was a very expensive, heart-wrenching moment.
Yes, it was a very expensive, heart-wrenching moment.
But anyway.
Then we brought in, after the dairy cow, then we brought in sheep. And then we got the opportunity to purchase our forever homestead. And now we have all of that still minus the rabbits. We don't have rabbits right now.
Not right now.
But we do have ducks, geese, quail still, chickens still, beef cow, dairy cows. Now it's
Pigs.
cows.
Yeah, now it's cows.
And then, of course, the pigs. And then hopefully
And
by
then,
your birthday,
don't forget, we got a donkey. Got a donkey. I know, you want to forget we have a donkey. He kind of came with the property.
It's because they couldn't round him up. So they got frustrated with him because they couldn't catch him. And they said, y'all can just have
Y'all
him.
just keep him. So he's never left
no.
well, he has left the property, but not by our choice. By
But I'll
his
tell
own
you
choice.
what. I didn't really like the fact that we had him in the beginning.
Oh.
But
We were only here like, what, a month or so?
he is very good at keeping the coyotes away.
Mm-hmm.
Which, for me, is a
Plus
kind
and
of
minus.
double-edged sword because I don't want to have coyotes on my farm because of when my calves and sheep and everybody, when they throw. On the flip side of it, I'm a trapper. I want to be able to catch them things and have them hanging in the fur shed.
Right.
So
But you
I gotta
gotta
go
keep-
off property to get coyotes.
Right, but you got to keep in mind, you really don't want them here in the first place to have to trap them, because if you don't catch them, then what kind of damage do they do?
Well, the
But
damage that the fur market is in right now, it's a lot.
really doesn't
I would
really matter.
I would make a little bit of money if I just had to walk versus having.
Yeah, that's true. Como Creek Homestead wants to know what happened with the turkeys. So we had moved to our 2.5 acres, and we moved with the idea of moving away from the city, and because the property we lived in before, it was really bad. We were way down in the middle of, I don't want to say the ghetto, but basically the ghetto, and it was pretty bad. And so we moved our family out thinking we were doing something really good, but we moved into this like tin can mobile home. It was like itty bitty small, but it was probably the closest we ever
wasn't
were
that
as a
bad.
family. Yeah, it was. It was pretty bad.
Look, I would go back to that, what you're calling tin can, in a minute, and get rid of this house.
No.
Our family
Gonna
was
happen.
so much closer.
I don't know. Since we moved here, we've gotten pretty. When we got into what goal we wanted and where we wanted to go with that, we've come together. We're doing a lot of really fun things as a family now. But anyway, back to what happened to the
My
turkeys.
son wouldn't have been able to sneak out.
Yeah, let's not go there right now. So the turkeys, we had decided to get some pigs, and we. No,
Yes.
did we? Was the same
You want me to tell the story?
It was the same turkeys.
Yeah.
So funny story. We bought we came to where we live now. Actually, ironically, from where we lived before. It was an hour and
Hour and a half.
We drove up to get these piglets. We had decided to go from Razorback piglets to Yorkshires, and
We didn't know they were Razorbacks. We were very green when we got our first
when we
set
got
of
them the first
pigs,
time.
and we got
But that's-
taken advantage of, and
Right.
that person just went
But
out
that's
and caught
what they
wild
were.
pigs.
But that's what they were. So we went from Razorbacks. We learned a little bit and decided we needed
We
to
learned
get
a
Yorkshire.
lot of bit.
Right. So we drive out to this town and we go to this farm, and we walk in and we're just in awe because they had all these beef cows, and they had this whole big area where they showed us the pig parents, the mom and dad, and they were monsters. I mean, we had never seen them so big.
Did we get some buffering going on there for a second?
No, why?
Well, because I glanced over there and that one was buffering.
Oh, I didn't see it.
Okay.
But anyway, so we went into this guy's property. We were looking at everything they had. They had ducks, they had quail, they had everything that we have now.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
he had everything that we have
Now.
now.
And it was what we were hoping to have.
And we went up there with the sole purpose of just
Just the pigs.
getting pigs. And we went up there in a town and country minivan with dog crates. And so we walked in there, and it was a whole family. And our daughters were, what were they? 8 and 6.
No.
They were young.
Very young.
Very-
Like,
anyway.
Ladessa was a baby.
Carol climbed over because Carol picked them.
Right.
Carol picked because we got 2 sows and a boar. And we put them in, and then he cut us a deal on the turkeys.
He gave us 3 poults for
It was
$45, I think.
I don't
Anyways,
think
it
was that much.
wasn't expensive at all.
And so we brought everybody home. On the way home, it was Carol Ann's turn to name the animals.
Right. We alternate who gets to pick them.
And this was right around election time. And so Carol Ann named them Obama, Pelosi, and Clinton. Obama is no longer with us. He got shot, semi-stolen and shot last year.
No, not well. It doesn't really matter, but it's been a while. So anyway,
Pelosi died giving birth, having Obama's babies. And talk about getting looks in Walmart when you start talking about that. Yeah.
well, that was pretty funny.
But
Anyway, with the turkeys,
what with the turkeys, we go out and do the chores together as a fam, and we had to catch the turkeys up because they've grown up for a while, and we were going to move them to an outdoor pen because with turkeys are always looking for a reason to die when they're real little, and so we had them in a stall, and we basically kind of babied the mess out of them.
And I know how old they were. Carol was 2. LaDessa was a baby.
Okay.
So keep this in mind that Carol was only 2 years old when it happened.
And so we were in there and we were trying to catch him up. And Carol wanted to help. So we let her in there to help. And she caught him. She caught him all right. She reached
right by the neck.
Caught him by the neck and said, "Daddy, I got him!"
And if any of you know anything about turkeys and their necks.
And we didn't have turkeys anymore.
So all of a sudden we were out. We were out some money real quick.
And so we've always had situations like that have always been learning experiences for us through the years that we've been doing. So that was basically a brief Cliff Notes version history
of who we are, yeah.
Of who we are. I want to let's get into the topics.
Like why?
Why what?
Well, why do we do this? Why are there people here watching us right now? Why are there people that are on YouTube talking about homesteading? Why do we do it?
I think it's different for every person.
Of course it is.
For us is we wanted to. I've always had the dream of being self-reliant, self-sufficient. All the way back into when I was a teenager and my dad was fussing at me about always leaving the lights on and stuff. And but it really lit a fire in me as I came off of active duty and I did 4 tours overseas, and I really knew that at the end of the day, the only person that's going to take care of me and my family is going to be me. And so Robin and I started talking, and we started baby stepping, and we started with the garden, and then the more we started researching about this or that, the more we started to learn that the food in the grocery stores was just completely unhealthy for us. That some of the stuff was made with the same stuff that they make yoga mats with, and all of the antibiotics and growth hormones and
right,
that they do. And then we sat down and we watched Food Incorporated and then Food Matters, and then it just kind of snowballed. And then we were paying attention to things that were going on, and I told you, I said, we need to stock up on peanut butter today.
What? Whoa. No, you are not going to take credit for that. No.
I did say
No. I called you on the phone and said, I just heard on the radio that there was a really, really bad grow season this year. Yes. And I said, they're talking about, now I will give you credit for the fact that you said we need to do peanut butter, but I said they are predicting in a few months that the cost of peanut butter will go up tremendously because there was a bad growth season. And you said, well, maybe we need to start buying peanut butter and putting it away.
Oh.
And that was kind of, yeah, it is.
It was a team effort.
Okay, yeah.
It was a team effort.
Okay.
Go team. But then the same thing happened with milk. And you,
right, and that's you.
Yeah,
that was all you.
And you doubted me with milk. I said, we need to get a dairy cow.
Oh, well, okay.
Now.
So what are you supposed to do when your husband comes up to you and says, I think we need to buy a dairy cow? Just out of the blue. We need to buy a dairy cow.
You listen and you go buy a dairy cow.
No. You go, how much does a dairy cow cost? Over $1,000. Well, why do we need to buy a dairy cow, honey?
I told you, because milk was fixing to go above. A gallon of milk was going to cost more than a gallon of gasoline.
Which was not very difficult. But see, and that's the thing I wanted to get back to with us, why we started doing this. It wasn't really about all of the stuff with your food safety and this, that, and the other. What really happened is the economy started to falter. We had the really bad couple of years, like 2008-ish, where the economy just tanked. And things were not looking good. And that was about the time that you had really bad grow seasons for certain vegetables and fruits. You had droughts where beef production was, a problem, and then you had the avian flu and all this stuff that was starting to. We weren't really worrying as much about food safety as we were about food scarcity. That was how we first kind of got started in it. And then it transferred over, because again, what were we talking about? We started with, okay, peanuts were going to be scarce. We know that we eat a lot of peanut butter. We really need to stock up on this before it gets expensive. Gas prices were going through the roof. Remember, we had, what was it, like $5 a gallon?
I remember standing in line and people going, "Welcome to the next Great Depression."
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was crazy. We had all these economic things happening, and we kept thinking, how can we one up that? How can we get to where that's not going to affect us? So it was, let's buy a dairy cow so that we can have our own milk. Which was a great idea, except...
I still have to say the one thing that really kind of lit
for
the
you,
fire was more food safety.
For you. That was your background. That was where you came from. Because you had seen directly what...
Why aren't we talking about me?
Well, oh, just you. Yeah. What was I thinking? But anyway, I digress. But, so... That's kind of how we got started. And then the more we got involved with the animals that we raised, the more we realized that the stuff that we produced tasted way better than the stuff that you get in the store. Yeah. So, but one thing that we've always had a problem with, and if you've been paying attention, you've heard this at least once, we didn't know a lot about things when we got started. And still, there are some things occasionally where we don't know.
We just jump with both feet.
We do. We usually do. That must be the good old Marine way of doing things.
Yep.
I had a couple things I wanted to bring up here. Somebody asked me if we had turkey dinner that night. That would have been great if they were of eating size. They were they were still poults. They were little bitty. That was Redhead Ranch. Yeah,
Hi, Redhead.
Yeah, we would have loved to, and I think we even discussed that. We were like, and see, at the time, we barely even knew.
We didn't really know.
We didn't know how to pluck. We didn't know how to eviscerate. We didn't know any of that stuff. So, the other question was, do we grow our own peanuts now? Absolutely. Yes. This year, we started growing our own peanuts. And Jason's been begging me for a couple of years now. It's been 4 or 5 years to do them. Ever since we went to Mr. Dickey's to go pick up the incubator. Remember when we went over to his house and he had plants that were just gigantic. And I'm usually pretty good at being able to look at what's in the ground and go, oh, that's a pepper plant, that's a this plant. And I was like, what is that? I'm going to punch you right here in front of everybody watching. But when we walked by those, I had no idea what they were. And then, of course, I had to ask you, which made you feel all manly, I guess, of course. Like, those are peanuts, Robin. We're in Georgia.
I grew up in South Georgia. I grew up in Albany. I know what peanuts look like. You know how many times I've gotten sick off of snatching peanuts out of the ground and then eating them?
Yeah, so
too many to talk about.
So this year, we have a small plot that we're just trying to see how they work. And I think probably this year, because we've kind of discussed this a little bit, we want to see how much we get. And then based off of what we get, we'll either put all of it away for seed for the following year to have a bigger patch, or we may eat some and save some, which it's just going to depend on how much we have.
We need a bigger patch.
Yeah, we do. We definitely do. Because here's the thing. Like when I was talking about with the ground, the way that it is here, we were all excited because the grass grows great here.
Yeah, we've got
grass everywhere. Grass. And we've got
everywhere except the front yard.
Right. Well, that's because of the shade. But we have plantain, we have dandelions, we have everything that you can imagine. And basically what we had when we first got here, we had 200 and something feet of muscadine vines. We were all excited about that. Yeah, and that first year they didn't really produce very well. They weren't. The family before us did their best, and they had to learn a lot. And then the year before we bought the place,
they finally pruned them. And I think she was timid about how she pruned them.
Mm-hmm.
And then that following year, we aggressively pruned them.
And we did a video on that.
Yeah,
That was that year we did the video on the
And
pruning.
we couldn't give muscadines away. We had so
Mhm.
many. We were just, come get them, and people wouldn't come. And but we still got that two. We still got 2 now. There's a couple of gaps in some spots where we need to replace them.
Yeah.
With the muscadines.
Which we will. I was going to air layer this year, but we just, we got so busy I just never got around to doing it. Deep South said that they grew peanuts last year, canned about 50 quarts. That's a lot of peanuts. That's an awful lot of peanuts.
That's not a lot of peanuts.
And they said that they are planting jungle peanuts this year. I'm curious as to what jungle peanuts are. You're going to have to school us on that.
Yeah, what's a jungle peanut?
Let us know what that is. Como says, weeds grow wonderful here. You know, we don't call them weeds. I don't call them weeds here. My girls love
Look, in the county we live in, you say weed, you have choppers hovering.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not, yeah.
We don't use the word weed.
We love the weeds that we have here because we have plantain.
She's talking about different types of grasses. That's not even good to say. She's talking about different types of vegetation.
There you go, vegetation. That's good. So, before we moved up here, we had a friend that walked around our property that we were living on with our daughters, and she was trying to teach them about foraging. And she showed them a few things.
Taught 'em.
Yeah, she showed them a few things, and then she also made sure that they knew what things they couldn't eat, and what things had a look-alike, an evil twin or something, right? And so we moved up here, and when we first started unpacking everything, my youngest daughter is an eater. She loves to eat. That's part of the other reason why we homestead.
That's the main reason why we do it right now is because she's eating.
We can't afford. Yeah, so we basically,
Everything.
so every 5 minutes it seemed like while we're unpacking boxes, she was constantly saying, "Mom, what are we gonna eat? What's for lunch? What's for dinner? What's for noonsies? What's for?" I mean, it was constantly.
She's a hobbit.
And
That's what
so,
Truth be told, we found a hobbit and we kept it.
so basically, what happened is the older daughter showed the younger daughter that a lot of the stuff that we had in our old property, we had 10 times as much of it here.
Yep.
And so the next thing I know, we didn't see them for hours. They
No,
were
it
just-
wasn't ours. You make
whatever.
it sound like bad parents.
No. What I mean is, I mean, we saw them. We knew where they were. But
They
what I
just didn't
mean
ask
is they
about
didn't
food
keep
anymore.
coming in and out of the, they didn't keep coming in and out of the house, you know, asking us for food all the time. And so then one time they came in, I think it was to use the restroom or something, and came in, and I noticed this green ring around my youngest daughter's mouth.
Things from, as a homesteader, that the more that you go along with your children and you start learning foraging techniques and more survival stuff like that, there'll be phrases that you'll have to utter that you never thought you'd have to utter. Like, please stop eating the grasses. That's for the cows.
Yes.
Because they would go out and they'd eat the lamb's
Onion,
quarter,
the
wild onion.
the wild onions, lamb's quarters,
Sheeps.
dandelion, flowers that have yellow mustaches. And I'm like, what are you eating? Dandelion flowers?
And they would walk around with their mason jar full of water and a dandelion straw.
Yeah, they would use the
Coming
stem
out
of the dandelion for a straw.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna, if you guys are just subscribers to our channel, go over to the Deep South Homestead and subscribe to theirs and go watch his squash horn video.
Yeah, we're gonna make those, by the way.
We're gonna make one of those maybe this weekend or in the next week or so, and we're gonna video it. But that's where we learned it from, just to watch and see how our kids act with a squash horn.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be pretty
So I think
interesting.
that's gonna be some good comedic
Relief
videoing
there.
right there.
Yeah.
But
Great grazing children, funny. Yeah, they definitely, they do, because they eat wood sorrel, sheep sorrel. They use plantain when they get mosquito bites, ant bites. I mean, a lot of times
I'm just waiting to catch them laying around just
chewing their cud.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I think Ladessa might have more than one stomach. She may have a few. So, but so anyway, why we got started. That was the reason.
That's the reason why we got started.
We went from an unstable economy and then food, and the thing with the cow was, we kind of jumped on the opportunity. One of the things, and I'm sure all of you can relate to this, you'll start talking about an idea, and maybe you'll bat it around for a while, and then maybe it'll get pushed off to the side, or maybe you keep going for it, but then there's those things that you've pushed off to the side that an opportunity will come up, and all of a sudden it's like, well, we've already talked about that, let's do it, and you don't really take the time to really weigh out your options because you feel like you're kind of backed into a corner. And that's kind of what happened with us.
That's called procrastination, and Deep South talked about it the other day or today on one of their videos. But yeah, it's a very evil thing.
Right.
And we were...
Well, I mean...
We fell subject to procrastination a lot of times. But I think that was the good Lord's way of making us tread that water until... we could afford.
Right, that's what I was going to say. It was financially, it was a big leap because, that cow, we bought the cow and the calf because she had the calf and so she was in milk. And I think, if memory serves me correctly, it was like $1,200 for both of them.
$1,112, yeah.
Yeah, and so, good deal. Even by today's thing, it was a pretty good deal. And she was a full-blooded Holstein. She was giving us 6 gallons of milk a day. 5 to 6 gallons of milk.
A milking, not a day, a milking.
That's right. I'm sorry. Like 5 gallons a milking. So like almost 10 gallons a day. And, but anyway, we went from not knowing anything to having to hurry up and learn really quick. Over a weekend. Like we got the cow on a Friday and we realized really quick, we knew enough to know that we had to milk this cow. Because we knew if she didn't get milked, that she could get mastitis. And we knew that would mean that our investment was like not even worth it. So we thought can't be that hard to milk a cow. All you got to do is grab the udders and pull and, the milk will just fall out, right?
And the funny thing is I had a full beard at the time. Mm-hmm. And I was heavier. I looked just about me and the guy that we bought it from could have been twins. Mm-hmm. And he used to beat that cow with one of those cattle sticks. And she come off of that trailer hooked and saw me and charged me. And she wouldn't let me get within 20 feet of her without her getting me. And so the milking fell on...
just on me at first.
On Robin. Mm-hmm. And... so here's my wife out there. We couldn't get a harness on her to be able to just tie her up. So my wife's walking around the pasture.
Just following her.
Just following her.
With a brand new stainless steel bucket.
And
just thinking that she's going to stop out in the middle of the field and just sit there while I milk her. Because, that's how they do it, right?
And she'd start trying to milk. And... I was up at the top of the hill because our property was basically a 45
degree angle. Mm-hmm.
And I was just up there listening. And then my wife started singing. And she started singing gospel hymns to her. And you could hear my wife singing, and every now and then I'd hear the milk hitting the bucket. And I was like, wow. Because whether my wife believes it or not, she has a beautiful voice. And...
I think you were entranced by the sound of the milk hitting the bucket, not my voice.
So that went on for a couple of minutes, and all of a sudden, you heard the bucket go clank, 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 clank. And then my wife went from being part of the choir at church to being a sailor. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, so we had to learn really quickly how to milk. We tried, and that's kind of how our YouTube stuff started. We went to look on YouTube to see if there was something that, how we could learn, and we just couldn't find anything.
Yeah. So
wow, we got a lot of comments here. Let's see.
That was your job.
Plantain chips are the best.
Plantain chips?
Yes. But this is, I'm assuming this is different types of plantain. Are you talking plantain like bananas? Because the plantain we're talking about is like the broadleaf plantain, plantago. So you have lanceolata and the broad one. I can't remember the name of them. But anyway, you have the one that has the stem that grows up with the little seeds that come out. I think everybody's got plantain somewhere. Also, edibles. Did you learn from a book? Well,
Yes.
we did learn originally from one of our friends, but then she told us to kind of go look at some books because they're all pretty good. And so we do have a couple of books. I think they're on our website. We showed them on the website.
Did we?
I think so. We put them on there. It's like edible wild plants or something like that. But if you go and check our website, you can see those on there. I think it's under the foraging page.
That's www.bigbearhomestead.com.
Oh, wow. Okay. The best part of my day is out in my garden eating everything out there before I'm able to bring it into the house. It's nice to hear you're teaching your kids it's okay to do this. Absolutely. I mean, you know, we don't spray. We don't use fertilizer. We don't do anything like that. So anything that they touch is, you know, rain-kissed, and that's about it. So
Now, let's switch gears a little bit and talk about how you can stay focused on the homestead to be able to keep your projects going, your homestead in working order, but also the main thing is staying focused so that way you can keep your head above water financially on the homestead. And that one is a constant.
I think that's a constant struggle.
It's a constant daily battle
Mm-hmm.
because everything can be going along just fine, and you're in your shop building a new coop, or you're in your area getting ready to fence off a new area, clean out a new area, and you turn around and you've got 7 animals standing right there that were supposed to be in a fence, and you're like, did the gate get left open? And you go back there, and just because we had a storm the night before,
Mm-hmm.
a branch might have snapped but didn't make it all the way down, but made it all the way down today, landed on the fence. So then you have to stop everything that you're doing, more than likely go buy a new section of fencing, maybe even a T-post or two.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you balance that with
Everything else you want to do.
all your monthly bills and
Mm-hmm.
everything else, and all the other projects and stuff that you got going on? And that's where, I don't know if a lot of y'all have heard of Dave Ramsey or anything, but that's where his money makeover helped us out because of the emergency
fund. That was a huge thing. Like, we didn't go into our homesteading journey with a lot of debt. We didn't own a house. We didn't. We owned our car, so we didn't really have a whole lot of debt. But at the same time, we didn't have really great credit either because we'd both been from previous marriages where it wasn't really a good situation. So we learned how to build our credit, but basically also to really.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's listening?
He better be.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. So basically what we learned to do is what little debt we did have, we learned to get rid of, but also to build our own credit up so that we could eventually do what we've done now, is buy a house. That was a huge thing for us. So our journey's been twofold. We've been doing homesteading, but also doing our financial freedom of being able to acquire the things that we want to acquire, you know.
Yeah. And that has helped us out tremendously, being where we can, if emergencies like that do happen.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard knowing that you've got this $2,000 sitting over here in the corner,
Right.
and you want to go get this tool because you know it's going to make life a little bit easier.
Right, but it's not an emergency.
But it's not an emergency, so you got to have the discipline not to touch that unless a fence breaks down, or the shower head goes, the on-off switch on the shower goes off inside the wall. Which just happened to us, where we got to have to tear out the entire wall and
replace all of that, and then we found that we had a ghost wall in the bathroom, so now we got an extra 2 feet and blah blah blah. But that, I think, if you were able to do that alone, is get that emergency fund set up and keep it over there on the side and have the discipline not
to not
to
touch it. That's the key.
And it also takes, when you have that, it takes away a tremendous amount of stress.
It really does. Because that just recently
you.
happened to us. If you remember, you were talking about the fence. We had a series of like 3 days where all of a sudden, was it the ram must have been tearing up the front fence line. And the next thing we know, like for 3 or 4 days in a row, the animals were getting out every morning.
Yeah,
I mean, we're getting calls from the sheriff's department.
Couldn't figure out where they were getting out from.
And finally, I just said, you know what? And that was where that whole, you have to decide whether or not it's emergency. And when it starts cutting into, I was getting phone calls at work, you know, because they were out in the field and they're not near the phone, so they can't get the phone. So I'm getting phone calls at work. Nothing like urgent, oh my gosh, you know, you killed somebody with your animal, but just our sheriff's department's really good about, if they get a phone call about an animal out, they kind of know who has animals on what road, and so they'll just start calling to let us know. So they called, and that, when I woke up that Sunday morning, because this had happened like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then on Sunday morning it happened, and I finally, Jason wasn't even up yet. I'm more of an earlier riser than he is, and I woke up, and we realized really quickly that the animals were out, and it was a bad situation. And I finally looked at him and said, you know what? This has now become an emergency because we can't do this every day. This is.
So we skipped church and went out there and ripped down the old fence, and you went and picked up new fencing and T-posts. We had a family come over, some friends of ours that came over, and they helped us. And
we knocked out that whole front fence line that
by
day.
the time church was over, we were just about done. But that, back on that, that's the, if there is one thing that's a secret weapon or a secret ingredient to helping keep your homestead financially above water, it's that emergency fund. Beyond it, if somebody's going to hold a gun to my head and say, you got to give me one thing, that's my answer. Because I don't worry about feed as much, is because a lot of our animals are on grass.
Not all. They pretty much. I mean, if we had to stop feeding them feed, we could
the only
make
ones
it
we
happen.
really feed are the chickens and the pigs.
Well, and the chickens are more for scratch than they are for anything. It's not really to keep them alive. And the pigs, what we give them is more for training them to come to us than it is for sustainability. They've got a huge area where they forage.
Well,
so
we do, like, we learned a lot by reading Salatin's books and by taking his motto of rotating pastures. All right, and we've done that with all of our animals, and especially with the pigs, and that helps tremendously with the pigs because we have a spot where they go in the fall and winter, and then we have a spot where they're at in spring and summer.
Right.
And then we have another spot that we send them to just to kind of hang out for a couple of weeks to help make compost and everything like that. But like their winter spot, we take root vegetables out the wazoo. And we'll plant Jerusalem artichokes, we'll plant potatoes, we'll plant carrots, beets, turnips, parsnips, all kinds of things. We'll plant them in their winter area during the spring. Let them grow up. I think I want to try to put some pumpkins and stuff in there this year.
The problem with that is, you remember what we had happen?
Letting it go. And then that way, during the wintertime, we don't have to really worry about feeding them that much because we really don't get any snow here. If we do, it's late January, late February when it comes, and it's only here for a day or two. But they can root up as they're hungry, all of the stuff. And with things like potatoes and Jerusalem artichokes, you know, if you don't get every single tubular out,
it's okay.
it's
It'll
okay
keep growing.
because they'll keep producing.
Right,
So
and then the other cool thing that we have going for us, which squash and pumpkins and stuff would be good for worming. But
Deworming, yeah.
we also have black walnuts, and we have acorns and stuff back on the back part of the property.
Yeah.
So when that stuff falls, then they've got that as well.
So then my second part would be to be able to grow / produce everything and anything that you need on your homestead to keep it
going.
Keep it going.
Mm-hmm.
Because the best way to look at it is you're going to pay for it in one of two ways. You're either going to pay for it financially with money, or you're going to end up paying for it with time and sweat. And sometimes you got to pay it with both. You're going to have to use both, meaning to pay for what you need with that. You know, like with the pigs, you know. Our very first set of Jerusalem artichokes, well, we had to buy the first.
Right.
We had to buy the first set, and then now we've got the extra tubulars that we can cut up and toss out there and plant. Fencing, I mean, it's cheaper now to buy fencing than it is to try to make it here on your homestead. So you'll pay for the material of that financially, but you'll also put it up with blood, sweat, and tears. And another thing that's really important is to not rush and cut any corners.
Yes, we're learning that.
When you are building things, don't go cheap. If you can afford it,
you can afford to.
You get the good quality stuff.
Because we've been there, and I'm sure everybody's been there, where you had to use pallet wood. You had to use what you could to make things.
Well, I'm a fan. Believe it or not, I'm starting to believe that some of these the pallets that are coming out nowadays are coming with better lumber than what you can get at the store.
And I'll be the first one to say, when you're doing pig fencing,
that's
not necessary. Yeah, no, you can do pallets.
I said you can't beat.
You can't beat a pallet. Yeah. What I was going to say is, when it comes to pigs, you really can't do pretty. I mean, if you do, you're sinking some serious money into that. Yeah. And what we've done is we've created a whole area that is cinder block and.
Well, you didn't use cinder blocks.
You didn't use cinder blocks this time.
We
have used cinder blocks in the past, but we use pallets and fencing, and between the two, you know, you have a nice sturdy.
And basically now, at least with our pigs, now it's just a visual barrier versus a real hardcore physical barrier. Plus, with us where we're at, like, I've got a friend that what's he call himself? Semper grazing, what's Daniel call his?
Semper Fi grazing.
No, it's not Semper Fi grazing.
I think
it's Semper grazing. Anyway, sorry, Daniel. But when he had pigs, he used the electric fence netting.
That's what he said.
And it worked. It worked for him. But he's way up north. Down here, I've got a very bad wild hog problem. So I've decided to put up the pallet fencing, not just to keep mine out or keep mine in, but to keep the wild ones out.
Because we did have that problem.
Because if, my Yorkshire boar, he'll get up there in size, and so will that wild hog. But that wild hog's used to fighting. Mm-hmm. Mine's not.
Yeah. And
the last thing I want is to come out one morning and have my breeder all beat up.
Mm-hmm.
So we did the pallet fencings where the pigs are. It works. It's more of a visual barrier for them now. For the wild pigs and how we set up our pallet fencing with the board in front, it becomes a long 20, 30, 40 foot wall because we connect them all.
Mm-hmm.
That pig's not going to be able to pick up.
Right.
And he's not going to be able to really bust through, because a lot of these pallets that we're getting a hold of is good solid oak.
Well, and the other thing that you got to keep in mind, though, that we've learned the hard way, is that if you keep your animals happy, they tend to not, with the exception of goats, because to me, goats, the grass is always greener on the other side of the fence. But with our animals, if we tended to them, regularly and did exactly what we were supposed to do, he's not watching. I don't think
Keep
he's
talking.
watching. But anyway, you're distracting me.
You're supposed to be like
But basically, so you don't want me to talk at all? Is that what you're saying? See, I completely lost my train of thought. Real quick, Southwind Technical Academy wanted to know if there's certain pigs that are kind of smaller for a smaller homestead. Now, what I would say to that is our pigs that we have are only as big as they are because we have let them get to breeding age. Our pigs, the Yorkshires, you can get them about 250, 300 pounds.
Yeah, but if they want to, if they
want to breed them, that's a different story.
Then you have what's that breed Tasha and Steve had? It was a heritage breed, and
I can't think of them to save my life.
They got them because they had a good high fat to make lard.
I'm getting there. Hold on, give me a second. I'll get to him. Oh, there he is. Blaze, what are the names of the pigs that Tasha and Steve have?
Basil.
No, not their names.
The breed
name.
I don't know what breed they were.
What are they called?
Man, that's gonna hurt my brain for the rest of the night. But yes, there are some smaller breeds, like the Ozabal.
Yeah, but they're not really that small, are they?
They're a lot smaller than 700 pounds.
Yeah, I guess.
I think they might top out at 400, for the breeders. Oh man, what was?
Hold on, I'm getting there because Kathy has some too, so I'm gonna look and see what she's got.
Berkshire, were they Berkshires?
Nope, not Berkshires.
Began with a B, didn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I can't believe that I can't remember this. Let me look at somebody else. Oh, we had my autistic son whose first language is sign language is standing behind me and got really excited because he understood you. Yay! We'll say, love you. So we use sign language a lot around here. Kuna, no, they're not Kuna. They are. I'm trying, guys. I really am. I just can't think of the name of them. It's driving me crazy.
Right there they are.
Yeah, but I can't think.
Anyway, if we don't figure it out here in the next minute or so, I'll figure it out probably right after we hit the mark, because we're going to have to wrap it up here in a minute because we're over our hour. I'll send you a message via YouTube or Facebook or something.
Guinea hogs.
Guinea hogs, that's it.
That's it.
That's the one.
Not even a B. It was a G.
Well, it depends on how you spell guinea.
No.
Somebody might spell guinea with a B.
No. But anyway, so back to the original question for April at Southwind. She asked about smaller breeds. Guinea hogs are smaller. Yeah. The only thing that we've heard with them is that
they're fatty.
They're very fatty. They're a lard pig.
They go around the homestead going her.
Yeah, they definitely get they have a really nice thick layer of fat
on it, but they're great for lard. A lot of your heritage breeds, your older heritage breeds, don't get very large. That could go on a small homestead of 5-6 acres, 2 acres, an acre. Depending on how many you want to get is how
much area.
You can always get a Vietnamese potbelly pig. I heard they make great sausage. So
never done that.
But our time's up. Now we're with the Homestead Network, and they have other channels, channel creators that are going to be doing live streams. Right now, we're the only ones on Friday. Saturday, pull up the schedule for us, please. On Saturday, they have 3 or 4 that are going to be on. I think the very first one's is gonna be Off the Grid Kid, and his
5:30 to 6, maybe. I think
5:30 to 6.
I can't remember. Hold on, I'm looking.
Just go to your Facebook and pull up my message to you.
No, I'm just going to go straight to...
And then I think Deep South is after...
No.
No?
No, because there's somebody before them. Wanda was telling me that they've chosen a little bit of a later time because they need to be able to do their chores first.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so on Saturday nights, it's going to be 5:30 to 6 is Off-Grid Kid. There's nobody doing anything between 6 and 7 right now. 8 to 9 is Living on a Dime. Oh, and by the way, these are all Eastern Standard Time. So 5:30 to 6 Eastern is Off the Grid Kid. 8 to 9 is Living on a Dime. Deep South Homestead's going to be 9 to 10 Eastern Time, so 8 their time.
And then we also have people on Sunday, starting all the way at 6
right now.
At 6 to 7 is Linda's Pantry. 7 to 8 is Big Family. 8 to 9 is Dirt Patch. 9 to 10 is Off the Grid Nation. And 10 to 11 is Homesteadonomics. Now, I would definitely encourage anybody that needs a pick-me-up about the future of our country and the future, the way that the generations are going, to check out Off the Grid Kid. He's a very bright young man, really got it going on. He's very entertaining, responsible, way beyond
his years. Absolutely. Mom, Dad, you guys are doing a great job.
His dad does the Off the Grid Nation show. Definitely check him out. And definitely check out Brad, the Big Family, and them.
Everyone that's on there is great to listen to. I know when I first looked at the schedule, I was like, wow, that's a long time to be sitting in front of the TV. But we did it this past Sunday. We sat down and watched it, and before I knew it, 3 hours had passed
went
by.
We didn't even know it. But
yeah,
but we're over our time slot. Thanks for coming by. We love you guys. If you haven't subscribed already to our YouTube channel, please do so.
Oh, that's our time telling us.
Please come back again next week. Same bat time.
Same bat channel.
Same bat channel. So, you got anything else you want to say?
No.
No?
I'll keep it for next Friday.
You keep it for next Friday?
Yeah.
Next Friday, our title is going to be... It's your title.
I wanted to talk about self-reliance versus self-sustainability. So I want to kind of talk about what the differences are and which one you think is better, which one's more important, or if they're the same to you. Some people kind of use them interchangeable. So kind of be thinking about that, and we'll look forward to seeing your comments. Guys, it's been great. We really enjoyed your support, and y'all have a good evening.
And like always,
have a nice day.